living life with real people and real stories. This series is a window into the human experience. It's about where we've been more recently, where we are today, but also, and most importantly, where we're going. This is an opportunity for us all to step back, to reassess and redefine how well-being shows up in our lives each and every day. So I hope that you can sit back, you can listen, learn, and connect. I met Margo back in 2014 at a Pavelka retreat. Now, at the time, her son was undergoing treatment for cancer, and Margo was not in a good place. There were a lot of challenges being thrown her way. Thankfully, her son got better. And over time, Margo was able to create more space for herself. And she used the 4 elements as a way to take care of her well-being each and every day. She transformed her body physically, and she became more mentally and emotionally resilient. However, COVID was about to show up, and her resilience was about to be tested even more.
I had just started a new job in the engineering industry. And my primary role was pretty much business development. So how do you do marketing and business development when you're in isolation? There's no networking, there's no nothing. Personally, my children came home from college, so I went from empty nest syndrome to surviving that to having my 2 adult children and I all living, working, going to school under the same roof, which, many people experience that, and just the whole balance with that. And then personally, my whole life was upside down. I can't go to the gym anymore, and I can't go out with my friends anymore, and I can't experience all the networking that I love and see all the people that I love. Again, like no different than what everybody else experienced. But what I found is that 2020 turned out to be a really good year because I have been running at a really high pace, whether it was professionally or personally, and that force of the stop it just allowed me to breathe. It allowed me to look at what was important in my life. It allowed me to go inside introspectively and dig much deeper than I ever have before. When we came out of isolation and I started to go back to my office, I wasn't happy about this new norm. Like, it felt so strange and it didn't feel good. The whole mask thing and the distancing thing, and I'm like, you know what, you've got to do this. You've got to get used to this new norm. You've got to embrace it. You've got to understand it. And that is a big thing. The understanding is a big thing because I've always believed that knowledge is power. Any challenges I've ever had, one of the ways I've been able to get over it is to be the smartest at something, get the information I need, know something better than the person I'm working with, become educated in that area that I need to know about. And so becoming educated on our new norm and on COVID and on the pandemic and on everything related to it, business practices, all that helped me. And those first couple of weeks were tough, and now now masks are not a big deal, and staying separated from people is kind of the new norm. And it was actually a very good year. That slowdown I couldn't have appreciated more.
Having a positive mindset helps you create a healthy relationship with those more challenging moments in life. And the 4 elements are a great way to sustain a positive mindset. However, it doesn't matter how positive you are or how resilient you are. Burnout takes no prisoners.
I focus heavily in the engineering industry. I focus a lot on corporate health, but in the overall sense of corporate health. So I see a lot of what the struggles are now, and what people are struggling with is the burnout and the fatigue from this past year of working virtually. You have every range of person, from the person who's working, who lives alone, to the family who is balancing the children going to school remotely, working nonstop virtually, the spouses, having to share to the people who are, having to take care of their parents. And so people are still struggling with that, because unless you were a really progressive company, you were not set up to handle that environment and be equipped to handle that environment appropriately. So people are just, they're just talking about that and just kind of figuring it out, because it's here to stay in many different ways and functions, even after vaccinations and even after things are lifted a bit. A lot of what we have now will be here to stay, or it will at least be the emergency backup plan should we ever have to be in this predicament again.
You mentioned burnout, and that's something that's come up more recently for us, and that's a really confusing thing. And I've had a burnout experience, but not whole hog, right? I haven't had to take months off, but we've worked with people that have had to unplug for over a month from work just to get back to a place where they felt mentally able to show up. Have you had any burnout experiences? Because you work hard. I know you work hard.
I experience burnout in a small way. So I have those weeks where, I've just been working a lot of hours and trying to balance it all, and I'm just tired. I'm just tired of it all. But I've learned, and in the past, I would have just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I probably would have lost my mind somewhere along the way. But I listened to my body then.
Yeah.
I listen to my body now, when I have those weeks, and I just say, yep, you know what, enough. I've got to rest, and I've got to do some yoga, and I've got to, I've got to do my thing, to get that rest. That's the level of burnout that I experience.
You're awake to how you feel, and when you're feeling off, you get into an action that supports. And I think that's such a great awareness. It's that, and again, it's that kind of struggle solution. I think for a lot of people, and I've experienced this, there's something about the work that can override the human needs, the basic needs of like eat, sleep, exercise. All of those things tend to take a back seat because work is so important. This is really important. I've got to get it done. I've got to meet this deadline. I've got to connect with this leader. And we forget that, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if that foundational piece, that bottom piece, like basic needs, isn't taken care of, then all of it falls apart. And
and I think that, and it's hard too when you're working from home. That laptop it's there 24/7, and hard for people to break off sometimes. Or you may be in an environment where the employers kind of, there's been no discussion on how to track your time, and how are you being measured, how is your performance being measured. So there's that worry too. But I am on a mission to spread the message that you taught me and you made me wake up to, and that is, you are number one. This is becoming such an important thing for me, because as individual people, whether you're a mom or a dad or a family member, whatever your situation is, I think it's human nature in many times to always want to give to the other person and do whatever it takes to help the other person. And you totally forget that you have to come first. And people even think it's selfish when you say that. But I have learned so much that if I don't function with at least a half a full cup, if not a full cup, then I can't take care of any of those people that I love.
Yeah. Thank you, Margo.